Welcome to this week's edition of Awaken Your Soul. My name is Lauren Cabaldon, and this is Shannon Hibble. And we are both licensed marriage and family therapists and clinical directors at Akua Mind and Body. Thank you for joining us on this week's episode. Today, we're going to talk about dating apps and specifically the Bumbles, the Tinders, the Hinges, everything that's out there, and if it's healthy or unhealthy to be on these apps, particularly in your recovery process. I just want to start off by saying I feel like there is a negative stigma with a lot of the dating apps that it's impersonal, that it's just a quick way to find someone to have quick sex with, and it's just based on photographs and superficial information. And while that may be the case with anything else, I think that's particularly even true with picking up someone at a bar or at a speed dating event or at a mixer. This might even have the potential to actually be a more authentic way to connect because it, does rely a little bit more on your personality, your character. I do think if you're seeking authentic connection, I think your motivation and your intention is key. And, as someone that's been on them previously, I can say that, you can present yourself in a way in which you can attract a person that can be a soul connection. I think it does require some sifting through the superficiality, but for example, how you choose a picture, you can be really mindful. It can be either look at my body and look at how cool I am, or the car that I drive, or all the buddies that I have and the expensive vacations I go on, or it can be these are the things that I enjoy and this is me laughing and being authentic and these are my hobbies. And also even what you choose to write. I know you might only have 500 characters or something to distill who you are as a human being, but I do think there's a mindful way to do that, whether it's, clever quotes that mean a lot to you or a poem or just a witty way to present yourself. I think if you're going into it with an authentic mindset, I think that it can be healthy. Early in recovery, anything that gets those quick likes can be a little dangerous because it is kind of like playing with fire. Getting the quick swipe rights or the quick likes can be that little dopamine rush that kind of gets us that validation we need. And I've known a lot of clients that love to be able to talk to a lot of different individuals and get that attention. And it feeds that narcissistic aspect. And it can be a huge distractor to the treatment process as well. So I think there's pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because it makes me think of what we talked about when we talked about social media. So on one of our episodes, we talked about social media, and it's not about the social media being bad, or it's not about the app of Bumble or Tinder being bad in of themselves. It's more of who you are bringing that into the app. So someone who feels insecure and feels unattractive, undesirable, unwanted goes on a dating app is going to interact with it very differently than someone who feels secure, feels like they're just wanting to find a partner. That's going to be very different interacting with the app. Someone who's wanting to get that quick fix. And I don't even want to say they're conscious of the fact that they're wanting that quick fix. I mean, you can go into it thinking you are this person who's feeling secure and I just want to find a partner. Right? And most people probably listening to this are like, that's me. I'm secure. I like myself. I'm going to go on this dating app and find the person I'm going to be in a relationship with.
So wait till somebody doesn't respond to you.
Yes.
And then you'll really see.
Yep.
You're having this great conversation and then the conversation stops. That's when you'll know.
Yep. What comes up for you?
Yeah.
What comes up for you when someone doesn't want to go on a date with you, or if someone says that, after your date with them actually going on a date, that they don't want to see you anymore. Or what do you do with rejection?
Or if you reveal a very personal part about yourself, about what you do or your interests or who you are, and then you get radio silence. How do you deal with that? How do you not take that personally? And one of my favorite phrases that I've shared before is rejection is protection. That is really, if I'm coming from a secure place, they if there's radio silence, or if there's one word answer, if there's, no meeting you halfway, that shows you right there. That's your clear message. This person is probably not right for me. They're not going to balance my energy. And a lot of people, though, if we have an unintegrated aspect of ourselves, we have that need to try to get them to actually give us validation for that aspect of ourselves.
We project a lot of ourselves onto these apps or any kind of social media.
Yeah.
And so that idea of when I say project, that means that if you assume that you, at a deeper level, sometimes you're not conscious of this, that I am unattractive or I'm not wanted because X, Y, and Z, then you're going to go onto that app. And when someone does radio silence you or ghost, and that term of ghosting means that they just stop talking to you. Then you start to assume the reason why is because they don't like you, you're unattractive, blah, blah, blah. So that shows what it is that how you're going into the app. And so it's not that the apps are bad, because I have many friends that have actually met their person that they plan on spending the rest of their lives on these apps.
Or even friends. I mean, I know a lot of people that have gone on dates and then they've become great friends because there was a connection, but it wasn't a love connection or a deep spiritual or emotional connection, but they had fun together and they went surfing, or they, played tennis together, or went to a show together. So,
and I want to piggyback off what you were saying about people earlier in recovery. You have to be careful because of that seeking for validation, because the one thing that I do get weary of when you are coming from this unconscious place of wanting that and seeking that validation is that you can get it fast with these apps. The instant gratification for that is a lot faster than, let's say, if you were to go to a bar or if you were to go to a social setting. You're not going to go through that many people, and how many people have swiped right on you, I think it is on Bumble and Tinder, then that many times, right, you see all these people that like you and you're like, ooh, you get that dopamine hit, right? That you don't get that as much in a social setting. You can actually get addicted to this. And it's really funny to watch some of my girlfriends that are on dating apps, and they tell me that, they get on it and then they're like, I'm getting off of this. I'm getting off of it right away, because it's that felt sense of, okay, I put myself out there. Okay, that was awful. I want to
very vulnerable.
It's very vulnerable. I put myself out there and I don't want to do it anymore, right? And so it's interesting to see how people interact with these dating apps.
It's a virtual playground of everybody's attachment issues in a very quick, brief setting. And so, everything that we're playing out, from abandonment, from, not feeling validated, a lot of people go right on there after a nasty breakup, so we're meeting everybody's kind of a little bit of their unintegrated aspects of themselves. And the question would be, are you really ready? And another question would be, what would it mean to be ready? And I think readiness would come from being completely prepared for rejection. And I think it's a great practice. I really do think it's a wonderful practice in receiving rejection, just as much as compliments and validation. It's a great way to go, hey, okay, no big deal. That guy, rejection is protection. That guy probably can't handle, my double masters from NYU anyway, right? But it's a place where we have to check ourselves, on our assumptions, on our taking things personally. All the 4 agreements, I think, come into play there. Are we being impeccable with our word? Something that I also like to ask people that are on dating apps, are you being authentic? Are you actually speaking your truth? Or are you embellishing? Little lies? Are you trying to get, a rise out of somebody? That's also a good indicator of where you're at. Are you trying to attract people based on a false sense of self? So there's a lot of little indicators that you can use to see, am I really ready for a relationship on these apps?
So just so that everyone knows about the 4 agreements, why don't you share with us what those 4 agreements are?
My pleasure. I love these. So the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. So say what you mean what you say, speak with integrity. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. Nothing anyone ever does is because of you. If they're rolling their eyes at you, it's because of their stuff. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. So that also can put us in danger if we're assuming somebody else's thoughts or behavior. And then the last one is always do your best. And the key to that is not to compare your best to anyone else's, but to yourself from the day before. So generally, if I'm not feeling very spiritually aligned, it's because I'm out of alignment with one of those 4 agreements. I can usually trace it back to one of those 4 agreements. And that, I think, is a really good mindset to even go into the dating world with. Any place that we're going to feel vulnerable or our insecurities or fears will come up, I always try to reapply the 4 agreements. And dating world, it's a scary world. All of our own childhood stuff comes up when somebody else has the microscope on us, if we're worthy of their love. And same with new work environment or a new friend group. We can feel very insecure and our identity stuff comes up. So I really like that framework for dating apps as well.
I know this can be a hot topic, so if you have any questions about dating or dating early in recovery or even dating apps, please leave your question in the comments area and we'd love to get back to you. And thank you so much for watching us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.